Welcome everyone, it's Brian Wong with the Next Big Future, and I'm very excited to have Lars, John Gibb, and Randy Kirk, who are with me who've written a book. We've all written a book together. My contribution and John have been left. Mainly it's Randy and Lars who've written the book. It's the Elon Musk mission. There'll be a link in the description to that book, which is now available. But I wanted to first talk to Randy, discuss, describe your the vision you have for the book and how it came about.
You guys know anybody out there, any of your friends, any of the people that you've talked to, any of your Patreon members? No, probably not your Patreon members, but you must have people in your circle that come up to you at a gathering and they go, yeah, but how do you keep it charged? Or, well, I get it, but isn't Elon just a megalomaniac? He just thinks he's all that, Or they come up and they're like, yeah, but he makes all these promises that he never delivers on. So I know you guys started your channels. I've heard all your stories that your channels were more about getting rid of the FUD and getting rid of the what do you want to call it, from the media. Because I don't know about you, but every single day I see even positive media making major errors, major misinformation about Tesla or about Elon or about any of his companies. It just drives me nuts. So I can understand why it was driving you nuts. In my case, it was my family members and my friends. And actually, you know what the biggest group that was driving me nuts was? I'm probably going to get myself in trouble for saying this, and you can cut it out if you want to, Brian. I'm slightly to the right of center, and my Republican friends and my conservative friends were down on electrification, and they were down on electric cars, and they were down on, they have all these excuses and reasons. Oh, we can't build it fast enough, and it costs more, and so our electric bill is going to go up. And they had all these stupid things they were saying, and so it was really about the people around me that motivated me to write this. It's written for everybody. Positive or negative on Tesla, positive or negative on Elon. Nobody's negative on Starship. I haven't talked to a human being yet that's negative, except maybe the astronomers who think it's getting in their way. But that was it. It was the everyday folks who were constantly coming up and saying these things about the company that were just wrong, or about Elon that were just wrong. And that's the motivation. That's what got me off my duff.
And then Lars, you got involved. You got contacted by Randy. Describe some of the thing that you wrote in the book that you think people should know about?
Well, I think the factor being the product, as Elon has tried to explain so many times, I think that is so fascinating about Tesla, and what I really love diving into, because it is not that long ago that we learned from Joe Justice, that had been head of Agile at Tesla, how they're doing stuff in the factories. So I really thought that was so interesting, and the whole Agile process and the way they have kind of taken a blank sheet approach to the whole building a company. And how should the culture work, and how should we make sure that we can innovate as fast as possible? And that's how, it's not, I would say the old guys that has been around for 100 years think that that's an advantage for them to catch up with Tesla is sorely mistaken, because they have 100 years of culture that you just don't get rid of. You kind of have to put that aside, and I think that's what some of them are going to do. They're going to spin off a new company to survive in this environment, because as we can see, like you had talked about, Brian, that the Model Y has probably, we had this pivotal moment in time that it has taken over the Toyota Corolla last month, or definitely this month. So the big boys is being beaten by Tesla now on production level and one model, but also in the production speed. Volkswagen wants to get to Tesla's production speed of last year in 2026, and Tesla will be faster tomorrow. So yeah, I think the understanding of how agile and how the company and the factories are actually built is very important to understand Tesla at all.
So it's something that, people who really want to understand business, if they've studied, Toyota's manufacturing processes, it's really outdated now with what Tesla has done. And so business and investors, but people who just want to be interested in Elon and understand something that is transformational to our world is something that people would want to know about in the book. Would you agree, Randy?
Yeah, so that's why I wrote the first book. The first book, The Elon Musk Method, was written for entrepreneurs. It wasn't really written for the everyday person. Although I think about, I don't know, what do you guys think? 60, 70% of the people I talk to want to be entrepreneurs. They may never actually be, other than maybe selling Arbonne or Amway or something. They become entrepreneurs, which is fine. Okay, that's entrepreneurial. So maybe everybody should read the Elon Musk Method, but that book was really designed to tell all the amazing skill sets and the amazing execution capabilities of Elon Musk. In this book, we do look at those, but very briefly, okay? But then we look at how his mind has conceived of putting together these companies. I don't know if people realize that I doubt if the average person, maybe even listening, understands that Elon Musk stated, "I am looking forward to death." And I'm thinking, who's more alive than Elon Musk? Who is getting more out of life than Elon Musk? He says, "I'm looking forward to death. It will be a relief." Now, why did he say that? He said that because his mind is on, he may only work 120 hours a week, but his mind is going all the other hours, even when he's asleep, I think. And as an entrepreneur, I get it. As an entrepreneur, when you're 70% done with a company, you're already on to the next one. It's always about the new bright, shiny object, or what we call in the trade, squirrel. And I've started 40 companies as a result in my lifetime. And so I understand, I get it on a little tiny basis, what Elon goes through. It's just that his ideas are on these universal, or, universal literally level, where if I woke up, true story, about 20 years ago, I came up with an idea to change the transportation system in Los Angeles. I really did. Did I execute? Of course not. I'm going, who am I? I'm not going to be able to change the transportation system in Los Angeles. Elon Musk wakes up in the morning and goes, "I think we should go to Mars. Let's do it." And so, but his brain is just constantly going. And at a certain point, it's wearing on you. It's wearing on you that you can't actually get all of those things. You have to start prioritizing. No, I can't do electric vertical and takeoff. I can't do that. I can't do the HVAC system right now. There's just not enough time in the day.
Okay, and John, your section was on AI, I believe. So why don't you describe a little bit about what you had in there?
Well, I talked about a couple of things. Number one is, I guess we can give away a little of the book that, there are several moats. I think you said 21 moats, if you've counted right. Yeah, that Tesla has, and one of them, of course, is their incredible data and AI capabilities. So I have a small part to do with that thing. But I think I get very, very excited about a topic that most people, their eyes roll back in their head when they hear it. But I get really excited about AI software in particular. And so when I see them building out new architectures and trying new things, and especially when I see Tesla implementing, you see a research paper that's published, and then a year later, Tesla has implemented that research in their full self-driving. You're like, what? I think we were talking earlier about how insane it is that they're able to make, 20 changes a day on their production line to build cars. But at the same time, it's also insane that they're taking stuff that people at a university or someplace have just said, yeah, we got this to work on a toy problem in a little tiny environment, and that's really cool. And Tesla's like, we can take that and we can make it drive a car. That's a nutty thing to think. And yet they do that. They're using transformers, they're using occupancy networks, they're using NERFs, which is neural radiance fields. All of these things kind of didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago, right? This is just stuff that didn't exist. And as they get this stuff, in fact, I actually, when I was at AI Day, which another chapter is on that, so if anybody's interested in what it's like to be at AI Day, I have a chapter on that. But when I was there, I was talking to to some of the engineers, the higher ups, and they were telling me that part of their job literally is to comb the research. That's part of what they're required to do, is to go out and read stuff. And I'm sure they're not reading everything thoroughly. They may read it and go like, nah, that's not very interesting, right? But but then they might go, oh, this looks interesting, and then start leafing through and go like, oh, this actually might have some good stuff. Then they have to figure out how the hell that actually works, because the research papers are always kind of a little hand wavy. So once they figure out the basic ideas, they have to go re-implement it themselves, and then they have to try it and see if it works. So Tesla's like a top level university. Like their AI program is like a top level university, plus the engineering department that's building it, plus the manufacturing, group. So it's crazy. It's absolutely nutty. And there really aren't any other companies like this. You take Google and they do amazing stuff with software, but their Google bot is this very, very simple kind of off the shelf looking thing that's fantastic. I'm not taking anything away from it, and it gives them all the time in the world to play around and learn some new software and stuff, but it is not a cutting edge robot like Optimus is. It's really not. So
it's something that the people who are Elon doubters or Tesla haters and something like that, they don't get the speed with which the company and how it's built massively flexible. Like you talked about incorporating research or making the change in the factory. The change in the factory, the way they can do that and the way they can make an effective, really transformative over-the-air update is because they have 100% software testing, where they can say, I can push a button, test everything in the car. Did I build it right? If I make this change, is it still good? And then they can have that over-the-air update, send it, and they have a digital model of their car. So the amount of, when people talk catching up, the amount of fundamental building of your company from the ground up to get to the state where you can also do that is like, I must blow everything up and then redo this thing
and this is the kind of stuff where this didn't just happen yesterday. Tesla started implementing this stuff around as far as I understand it, around 2012 or 2013. So about a decade ago. They were doing this when they were a nobody company. Around the time they were rolling out the Model S, they were implementing this stuff. And it was crazy. Who was going to do this as a little scrappy startup company and have this grand vision of having digital doubles for your cars and all of this kind of stuff, and having AI-based vision systems that are checking your car's quality as you're building them? It really makes no sense at all. And yet they did it because Elon was like, this is the way the future is going to go. And by the way, I think we can add one little thing. The car digital doubles are not, it's not a digital double of the Model Y. It's a digital double of my Model Y. So they literally know every piece of stuff and what kind of cable connects these two things in my car, because every car is different. So they need to know if you have a problem, they actually know what's in your car pretty exactly. And that is remarkable.
And to your point a minute ago, Brian, about the speed of what takes place in their factories, this is another Elon Musk. I think it's way at the top of his list of what makes him great, but also what he thinks makes his companies great. It's the sense of urgency. I would say, of all of, as an ex-manufacturer, as a guy who's run a bunch of companies, the thing that drove me crazy about employees was not having a sense of urgency. And I think that's probably how you get fired at Tesla the fastest, or at SpaceX or anyplace else. If you don't sense that, if you don't have it in your DNA that everything is urgent, even things that don't seem urgent, if you're working on it, the job is to get it done quickly. And yeah, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail, because if you're going to do things quickly, sometimes you're not going to get it right, and it's okay to fail. Just fail forward. Those are things that I don't know that they have any of those philosophies. I don't think those philosophies are true for the other car makers. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're true for the other. And I don't think they're true at Boeing, and I don't think they're true at any of the other defense companies. As they've now become the second largest NASA supplier as of a couple of days ago, passing Boeing. So sense of urgency is huge.
Wow. Well, it circles back to the whole, Elon saying death is a relief. It's like, I have a lot to accomplish in this limited time span before. Yeah, it's very cool.
And I think that's why he's able to execute on the future. Like, is that, there's always been great research, but it would always just sit there, or it'd be so slow to bring in and to scale up. Is that he will take it and then get to scale as fast as possible. Like Waymo was working on the self-driving car for a long time. They're still only in 2 cities, maybe 3 cities, and part of Arizona, very sunny. San Francisco, cruise only at certain times. But Elon said, look, I'm going to build the hardware into every car, whether you buy it or not, whether you pay for the FSD or not. I'm going to put the hardware in for it. And then I'm going to let you activate it and then get it out to, 3 million plus cars, and then have it, gathering data and stuff. So that goes to the data thing you talked about, as well as, this willing to make a massive bet. Even when they were nearly dying at the company for
Right.
Model 3, they said, I'm going to put an extra few $1,000s into every car in
Yeah.
hardware, just to.
That's the moment that I think is really worth visiting carefully, is that this isn't something that the flush Tesla of 2022 is making a decision on. This is something that, as they were just about to go bankrupt trying to roll out the Model 3, Elon was like, nope, keep putting it in there. It's like, you could save all of this money on every single car if you didn't put it in there. And he was like, nope, put it in there. We need it for the future. And it's like, well, that is pretty gutsy.
Well, I happen to be a doubter on the whole Tesla could have gone bankrupt. That I know that's part of the myth. I know that'll live longer than Elon will. It'll always be part of the story. I think he could have raised the money. Just me. I don't know, but I think there would have been enough folks like you and
In
me.
any case, they were definitely not cash
were in
flush
trouble.
at the time. Yeah, they were in trouble. They had some issues.
So what do you see as the most exciting things we've already done in 1 year? Say 2 or 3. What do you think by 2025? Go around to see. How about Lars first? What do you think by 2025 will be the big thing from Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, any one of them?
Well, I think for Tesla, I think the Model A, the robotaxi, is really going to kick off there. And as we just talked about, that they are able to get things at scale. I think people forget that because Tesla is able to do all this, is because they have manufacturing down. Like, the factory is ready to go. And even if Waymo came up with something exactly similar today, they don't have the production. So they still have to go to somebody to get a car and get it all done. And okay, so in 5 or 7 years, they will have a car ready that they can produce and make to a robotaxi. Tesla has a car ready today, and they're already working on the next gen that will be even cheaper. So that car, I think, is going to take Tesla to a whole other level, because if the projections is right that they can grow about 50% in 2025, they could do like 7 million or something like that in production. But if they wanted to, they could just say, okay, let's do half of that is going to be like 1 million, just 1 million are going to be robotaxis. They could pretty much, take all America and make every taxi and an Uber driver obsolete in a year, pretty much, because they can put like 1 million robotaxis in the US and be done with it. That is going to be very interesting to see how this progress.
How about you, Randy?
So I don't know if this is 2025, maybe it'll be 26 or 27, but I have a vision of cities being transformed, but I think it'll start with one fairly large community like they're doing in Texas, where they're doing that distributed energy city subdivision down there. I think it's 5,000 homes, or I forget how many, 4,000 or 5,000 homes. But I think they'll take another community like that, that'll be 4,000 or 5,000 homes, and it will be the community of the future, where not only will it be distributed energy, all of them will have the new HVAC. All of them will have, they won't have garages. There will not be garages on the homes. There will not be streets in the community. You will maybe take, some kind of a small electric vehicle on a sidewalk, maybe, that will take you to the entrance to the community where you will then, catch your robo-taxi. But then the community itself will, around the community, they'll start to put the transportation underground so that you'll have around that community, you'll now start to have parks instead of streets. You'll start to see this build out of the entire concept of what the future can look like if everything that Elon is doing came true instead of just one at a time. It's like, imagine, just imagine a future where there's no parking structures. There's no parking on the streets. When you don't have any parking structures of parking on the streets, you only need one-lane roads for service delivery vehicles. And in the inner city are robo-taxis or whatever, maybe 2 lanes. And because you don't need the parking. So all of a sudden you can start to put grass where there used to be concrete. I mean, those are the things I'm excited about. I think still within this decade, we'll start to see some of that start to happen.
So kind of like Disney's Epcot, the city of the future, would be Elon's city of the future.
What if the first place to do it was the Strip in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just keep going more underground, more underground, more underground. And then,
right.
And then just put grass where the Strip is now.
No, they'll just put more casinos up where the roads used to be.
That's probably what they do.
But in any case, it would be very interesting to look at.
How about you, John?
Okay, I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you one for 2025 and one for 2029. 2025, I'm very excited to be able to maybe purchase my own Optimus robot, but at least see one, like not in a factory, but like that they'll be selling them to the public by 2025, maybe late 2025. And then 2029, this is when I'm guessing, and I think this is right because it's every 26 months is the home and transfer orbit, like minimum energy, but I think it'd be 2029. I'm looking forward to the first human landing on Mars. So hopefully what'll happen is 2 years before that, we'll get the, like
unmanned
a
mission.
bunch of Optimus bots and an unmanned mission that will do it. And then 2 years later, we will actually see human beings.
Will you be on the flight?
I've applied to NASA several times and they've rejected me. So I doubt
this is easier. This doesn't take all the,
that's true. Oh, if Jared Isaacman or whatever, if he's happy to like bring me along, I will be happy to go. So, or Miyazawa, either one of those guys. I'll go to the moon. I'll go to space. I don't care. So yes, I will be happy to go if I'm invited, but I don't think I will be.
So those who don't know, Jared Isaacman, the billionaire who bought probably the first Starship mission, SpaceX Starship mission to orbit, right? He's going for the orbit, and then I can't pronounce the name. The Japanese gentleman, another billionaire, who bought the first lunar orbiting mission, so like Apollo 8, something like that, mission going around the moon
with a Starship.
With a Starship,
and Jared is, I think, is it just a couple of months from now? He's supposed to do a spacewalk, a private spacewalk. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're taking a Dragon up, and they're gonna pop the top, and they're all gonna do like spacewalky stuff. So
wow,
that is crazy. So yeah, very, very cool.
So for mine for 2025, I'm be excited to seeing where the SpaceX Starship Super Heavy is gone. They will have those on regular flights, but I think that they will start doing cargo missions. They've already been paid actually 2 grants by the Defense Department to do an anywhere delivery of a military cargo proof of concept. So they got like $250 million grants to do that. So I believe that they will get into a regular service. So you'll have a beyond FedEx next day delivery to twice a day or more if they're connecting continents. Like I have the regular deliveries sorting to one of say 3 sorting stations around North America, taking to sorting stations in Europe and in Asia. So then you'll shave about 10 hours off of the time to get intercontinental package delivery. So I think that will be a new blue sky thing that only they will be able to deliver on that, and that will mean rapid production of the Mechazilla spaceports. And then after that, they'll be connecting city to city. So New York to Tokyo direct, and they connect up the top 100, top 200 cities.
So do we speculate that one of Elon's first missions will be to land that Starship in the middle of the battle zone in the Ukraine, delivering drones, right? He'll be delivering drones because he just said the other day that the future of warfare is drone warfare. So maybe he's making drones right now in a secret factory.
I don't think he should get involved in that Ukraine war even more than they have that. But I'll briefly say that the Starship will be the most powerful military weapon, if they wanted to, of anything, more powerful than nuclear weapons. In that, if you have 100 tons in a hypersonic, by definition, the hypersonic transport, that completely maneuverable, right? So it can turn on and accelerate, decelerate. So basically, the old Blackbird, the SR-72 Blackbird Mach 3.5 never shot down, right? It would be even harder to shoot down a Starship because it'd be going up to 5 times faster, 6 times faster. It'd be flying higher. So then if your missile was trying to come up to take it out, it has to be going faster than the Starship. So your rocket has to go faster than the Starship, do some kind of intercept, right? And then the Starship can see you coming, trying to shoot me down. I go up a little higher. It could be carrying just the ball bearings. And then if they release ball bearings at the thing, because of this, going Mach 20 ball bearings, each would hit with the kinetic energy of high explosive. So whatever the bearing weighed in mass would be the high explosive impact on whatever it's hitting at. So without using any explosive, I can just have a cargo full of ball bearings. One, I can just spit some out occasionally to hit anything that's trying to hit me. But then two, if I wanted to, you don't want to do this, hit the ground, you could then have destruction of a nuclear weapon without any nuclear material.
Oh,
and then also it would be able to, if I launch, in North Korea wants to launch a missile. Currently, I got to have a SAM, whatever, missile, anti-missile right near it. And I got to get 3 times faster acceleration, chase it down. If I'm over top of it, and I spit down, basically I can just, anything in the square kilometer area that is coming up in the boost phase, it gets taken out. So you wouldn't be able to have ICBMs anymore once you have Starship. Anyone who's looking at this, just based on simple physics and stuff would be able to see this as an obvious thing. There was something called rods from God, where basically someone talked about putting material into orbit, where you'd send down phone poles into the ground, basically to destroy things. You could then do deep penetration. So the fact that I could lift up, all this material using the Starship at very low cost, down to $10 per kilogram or something like that, it is transformational. So militarily, it would be, completely transformational. But
I would also throw in projection of force in human cargo too, because you can get anywhere really fast and with 100 people or so. Yeah. So yeah.
Right. So it would transfer that way.
Or 10,000 robots.
Or 10,000 robots. Yeah. I mean, either way. Yeah.
So that also goes to more powerful than drones also because, or if you use that with the drones, because if I'm hitting you with this kinetic energy thing that, I got 1 million drones and I splat, destroy everything in the area, all the drones are gone. Right. But we don't need to go that way, but basically it just means air superiority for the United States for the next 100 years or whatever that. But war shouldn't be happening anyway. So the fact that this should hopefully stop that stuff, hopefully prevent that stuff. Yeah. So just
boy, where does anybody going to get this kind of content? I mean, this Ryan, your channel is going to go off, going to go crazy with this kind of content.
Yeah, so adding some science to the thing, just the analysis. So why don't you talk about for the personal lives of people? What do you think the impact, in terms of how their personal lives change from the new things that are coming? Tesla bot, FSD. How do you think society might change, people might change, or how things be better from that? Anyone want to try and go first with that?
Well, I've been following all these guys that write about how good it's already gotten.
Mhm.
I mean, most people in the world, if you walked up to people on the street today and you said, how many people in the world will go to bed hungry tonight? And they would go, oh, 1 billion or 2. You know, it's like less than 10 million people, I think, maybe it's 100 million, but I think it's less than 10 million people that will go to bed hungry in the world tonight. I mean, there's people that'll go to bed hungry on there because of their own stupidity, but I'm talking about because of government or because of not having enough water or crops. In the United States, it's 0. Nobody goes to bed hungry in the United States other than because they're on drugs or because their parents aren't feeding them. But, you know, so we're already in that kind of amazing era that it's kind of striking in terms of, we went from 5% people that were that could read and write, that were literate 150 years ago. Now it's 95%. I mean, we're already in a pretty crazy time it's unparalleled in those terms. But all the things that we're talking about are just another layer on top of it, which I think is part of what the next book will be about, right, Brian?
Mhm.
So anyway, the age of abundance. I think one of the big discussions that's going on is what will we do? So it isn't about what will we have. My wife and I sit here in our little golf course, our little condo by the golf course thinking, what do we need that we don't have? You know, how much better can it be than this? You know, you already have pretty much everything that you want at your disposal. You can travel pretty much anywhere in the world for cheap enough that the vast majority of people can do it. In fact, they are. So what is it about the future? Well, we'll have even more, but then what will we do? What will the purpose be? How will people get paid if they don't have any reason to work? The robots will be doing all the work. You know, will we need universal basic income or something like that in order to pay for the stuff that when energy is too cheap to meter, we may not need to get paid because we won't have an electric bill or a gas bill or an oil bill or a gasoline bill it's a unusual time that we're entering into. I personally believe it will be a huge awakening of the arts.
Mhm.
So I'm a musician. Maybe certainly Lars is a graphic artist per excellence. Oh my gosh, the stuff he does on his channel. So, and you guys, if you haven't seen Lars's trailer, I'm talking about all of you that are listening. You need to see Lars's trailer for the book. It's amazing. Anyway, I think it'll be an awakening of the arts. I think we will start to decorate the outside of our homes and our buildings again with individual people actually creating, you know, sculpted things again. I think we'll have statuary and music and things that maybe we haven't had time for the last 50 years. That we'll go back to caring about music and the arts and things. So that's my take.
A nice vision there, Randy. I think, John, you had your hand up. You want to?
Oh, yeah, well, sort of. I'll just flow along with what Randy was talking about. I do think it has struck me many times, because if you're not just kind of belligerent, if anybody says, when would you like to live in history up till today? Maybe 30 years ago or something, but no one's going to say, I want to live 100 years ago. It would be insane. Like, your quality of life would be so much less. And I say I think about that. I think, like, okay, 200 years ago, the richest person in the world, the king of England or whoever couldn't go scuba diving, couldn't fly in the air, didn't have instant telecommunications and news. Yeah. I mean, we're just middle-class people. We're nothing special. And we have things that no one in history, the richest people, the most powerful people in the world, didn't have. And I agree with Randy. I mean, I think as long as we don't do something really, really stupid, and I think humanity is unfortunately really stupid. So I hope we don't do that. But if we don't do really, really stupid things, if we can get over the next hump, I really think that we're going to be in a world where we'll look back to today and say like, oh gosh, oh, they had to work all the time and they had to drive themselves everywhere. And there's this and that. And, you know, we'll look back 30 years from now at this time period and say like, wow, that was really primitive. They didn't have
John,
anything. It'd be like,
John, you just made me think of something though.
yeah.
The one thing that I don't know if we'll be able to fix is teenagers.
Teenagers will always be teenagers. Yes.
I mean, that would be something Elon should work on.
Right.
All right. So, I'm sorry.
Well, what we can do is we can get rid of their having to learn how to drive. So
Yep.
that will remove an entire segment of being a teenager. And actually, I'm thinking about that 30 years from now, people might say like, ooh, people used to have to drive. Yeah. You know, that's gross. And why would you do that? And they used things that burned fossil fuels and made all this pollutants out of it. Ew, right? So
those cavemen.
yeah, exactly. I'm likening it back to like thinking about like before the internet, like back in like the, you know, the early mid 80s or something. Yeah. And it's like, I couldn't even imagine going back to that time. It would frustrate the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Now, maybe if I got to be that young again, I might trade it, but anyway, but going back to that time period from now would just be immensely frustrating. So yeah.
How about you, Lars?
People.
Yeah, I was also say that I am so happy to be alive right now at the same time as Elon Musk, because he is really driving all of these many different companies that is going to change the world so dramatically. Both the Boring Company, the Neuralink, the robot, the AI, the Starship, everything. And I think we're going to see so much inventions just explode in the next 10 to 20 years that it's the world is going to look so different in 20 years. I don't think we can even imagine how it's going to be, because it's so dramatically changing right now and is speeding up. And if AI comes into the picture as well, helping us speed this up to levels we couldn't even dream about. So I'm so thankful that we live in this area. Actually, thanks that I'm, about 40 and have experienced the 80s and the 90s, because there is so much technology that's been fun to follow. But right now, I think we're in this pivotal moment in history that, like John said, we're going to look back and, oh yeah, that's when they first fired up that little spaceship that could hop up and land the grasshopper. And, that was that time. You remember that? Oh, that was good. Yeah. That was it. Now we're sitting here in our condo on Mars and looking out and enjoying stuff. Tomorrow we're going to go out to Venus and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be the future is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing, that it's because he's able to execute and run his companies as described in the book, that things that people think, oh, that's not possible, or whatever, that becomes possible. And one, making those things possible will be huge, but then also changing the mindset where people think, oh yeah, now this is also possible, and to build upon that is huge. And then if we look at the mundane things, changing the finances where you don't have a depreciation on your car, or and change the cost of transportation ownership, and not having accidents, that the even for someone who of very modest means would start seeing their potential financial thing change. Or a mundane thing like, if I get the Cybertruck and it'd be like a usable RV for me, where basically you have temperature control in it, and you can sleep in the back in a full length bed, almost queen size, something like that, and then go RVing across the country in a vehicle that there's even the big and the small become, because you've I think Lars and John, you've done long road trips in the Model Y, and said that the experience, for you personally, even already is superior, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You have a 3 though, right? It's not a Y.
I have a 3. Yeah.
But anyway, either one. The only reason I said the Y was just because it's a little bit bigger, so it's easier to sleep in. But aside from that, they really handle just about the same. So it's very cool.
Okay. We talked a fair bit, and we'll have, I think, future discussions on this, and people need to look at the book and stuff. Any closing things you want to talk about? And then we'll, one look at the other videos on Lars's channel and on John's channel. So, and then we'll also, I'm sure, be doing interviews with other places and talking more and more about these things. You can go around and discuss some closing statements, and then we'll wrap it up for the next time.
Yeah, I just want to, yeah, sure, I'm the author, so I do want to encourage you to buy the book. Yes, so we definitely feel like we've put together something that is going to be useful. People are not reading, and there will be an audio version, but the audio version, there's going to be a lot of missing graphs and charts and things you won't be able to see, but the audio version will still be useful for those of you who just cannot and hate to read. But for the folks who do still pick up a paperback, it'll be available in hardback as well. If you still like that form factor and you like to read that way, I think you'll find the book useful. It'll be entertaining. I think it'll be informative, but I think you'll actually benefit. You'll be able to put it to use, which is not many books that you read actually have a way that you can tomorrow go out and actually execute on something because you read about it in a book. So whether you like Kindle, whether you like paperback, whether you like hardback, or whether you want to listen to it, all of those formats will be available. The audio probably not till, I'm going to guess, around the 10th of November, but the other ones should all be available probably by the time you're seeing this. So run out and get your copy.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we can wrap up then, and okay, talk to you next time.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.